And Ray, hello, good morning.
Good morning. I learned of your group from John Speed Myers at In-Q-Tel. And so I'm just attending to learn a little bit more about what's happening with the OpenSSF.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so I hope you all can see my screen. I've got a little bit of a demo and a little bit of progress from last time. Yeah, so maybe we'll just kind of just get into it and we'll kind of go from there. So the backdrop here last time, we'd built out a proof of concept dashboard, which kind of worked, but in all honesty, it was a bit of kind of duct tape and WD-40 kind of making the thing work. It was really hard for any new developer to like come in and set up the environment because it was like build the universe from scratch. So made some progress here. So I'll show you what I have. So on the coding side, it's not gonna be a coding exercise today, but it's all Docker Compose now. So each thing is a separate container. There is Grafana running in one. There's Postgres running in one. Nginx, and a really simple Django app that is kind of the front end. There's some caching stuff, but we actually don't need it. I can just delete it. So when everything loads up, it's just normal plain Docker Compose. What you wind up getting is, this is kind of the older UI. I'm not a UI person, obviously, so we can make this actually look nice. But the idea is you can add a project and you get the list of projects. Obviously, we need to paginate and all of that stuff. But if you go to let's see, Kubernetes, because I know Kubernetes has data, then it bounces you over to Grafana on the same host, pre-selected for the project that you did. And actually, there's no data for this one yet. This one, there it is. So this data is coming from the badge project. I think this one is badge project as well. I need to move over all of the actual metrics definitions. I don't know, previous version of this. This is essentially the stuff that I'll move over. So it'll have all this, all of the stuff built out here within a day or two. So the advantage here is that it'll let everybody, I want to have it so that you can basically download the Docker Compose file or clone the repo and hit build. 5 minutes later, you have a thing that's running and you can immediately start populating it. Their management commands to do things like reloading scorecard data and best practices data. We need to, and this is really just for dev time stuff, just to make it a little bit easier to reload things. We have all sorts of conversations to have about how to, do we want all collectors running on all projects? Do you need to be able to like disable them on a per project basis? Like how much complexity do we want to add here? And I would say as little as possible, at least for the MVP. I'm thinking these would just get run periodically. So I actually have some notes in here about the MVP, like minimal features that we need to kind of go out and say that we have something for others to look at. So I think getting the domain alias would be good. I'll probably put it on the same Actually, I'll just probably just build a new VM with just Docker and just run it there, or just run Docker as a Docker in the cloudy kind of thing. Either way, we eventually need to move this over to OpenSSF infrastructure. But for the MVP, I don't think it really matters.
I have a request, and believe it or not, I think this belongs in the MVP. You mentioned publicly accessible via simple URL.
Yep.
Can we include a simple way to identify a package and directly go, within the URL, and directly go to that package? Okay, and let me give you a sample use case. On the CII best practices badge, if you click there, it'll show you its current state. It would be awesome to have a little click link that says, hey, do you want to see metrics about this? Click here, and poof, it goes right there.
Okay.
And it would make integration between these systems super easy.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So it'll
be starting thing, question mark, what I mean, what or a straight URL, just something so that from the URL you can find the package you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I'll note that the CII best practices tries to do the same for you.
Perfect. Cool. So I think probably either of those should be fine. I think probably since we're using package URL. That's
you're using package URL. CI best practices doesn't have package URLs. That is something we've talked about.
Yep. Okay. How about this? Well, let's just do this, or there'll be some sort of a root thing here. So blah.
Right. Right. Yeah, a root, and then various ways to search on it. Package URLs would be one way. Oh yeah, a URL that's related would be awesome. So if I gave it a get, a repo or a code repo or a home page.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Now see, the CI best practices would probably use the URL. Other folks would probably use the package URL, and gloriness and goodness happens.
Wonderful. That's easy.
Awesome. Yeah, because I think the sooner we do that, the sooner folks can start. And as soon as we get it moved over to whatever URL, I mean, metrics openssf.org is great by me, but I guess maybe that should be, well, do we need to raise it higher? I don't know what we need to do to get that to happen. Probably should send a quick email to the TAC, to Ryan, and then I guess I can find out from the LFIT what's required.
Okay. So
but we want to offer only a way to easily find a package, or we want to offer also a way to compare two or more packages?
I think for the MVP, let's stick to just one.
Okay.
We absolutely need the comparison thing, but then it's harder.
Yeah, how's this? What I'd propose is, for the MVP, if you want to do a comparison, you could tweak the syntax and just say, hey, if you start with a square bracket, then instead of a single package, so package URL equals open square bracket list of URLs.
or just comma separated or something. Yeah.
Or I think you have to be careful. I don't. Is comma allowed?
But okay. But I think
I got it though. You basically have some separators and something to make it so it all works. Yeah, setup. I mean, there's two different issues, which is I think I can talk to IT, but LFIT. But I think the first step. Oh, to provide the destination static. Oh, okay. So you instead of you just want them to set up a link over to it.
If they could just do an a name, I get a name. Yeah, I guess an a name. That would be fine. That way they own the pointer.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Why don't you send me afterwards what's necessary? And I don't know if we need any approval wider than this group, but since it's visible OpenSSF wide, I think we at least should ask the TAC.
Yeah.
What actually, since you're the chair, Mike, why don't you just send an email to the TAC and just say, hey, we want to do this. Is that okay? I would be shocked if they said no, but at least they've been informed.
Let's just do that. Would you think they'd be pissed if I just opened up an issue?
No, I don't think they'd be pissed at all. I don't know if they would notice it is the problem.
Well, that way I can just.
You can email off and point to the GitHub issue too. Yeah, I don't think I think actually I can tell you part of it. The OpenSSF group needs to approve, and then the LF does the work.
Perfect.
But the problem is I can talk to the IT folks, but I don't want to do that until until there's some agreement that the OpenSSF is okay with that.
Yep.
So, oh, wait a minute. I don't see anything changing.
What?
Oh, and there it is.
Oh.
Weird. All right. Would do the actual work, comma, but needs a but it needs to make sure the OpenSSF is okay with this. And I would think you're okay, all on board. Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think technically, as long as this working group is okay with it, and I've heard no objections, we can do it. But this is probably also a good excuse. I'm very concerned that the governing board and TAC and working groups don't necessarily know what each other is doing. So this is a good excuse to fix that.
Yep. Wonderful. Cool.
All right.
Okay. So we got that landing page with basic info about the project and links to the dashboard. We probably need a little bit more than this, but I'm not sure how much more. Like, I don't know if clicking on a project here should keep you in this frame with some basic information, like the stuff that would be up here, the project description stuff, because that might be kind of more interesting at a top level landing page, and that way we get a like Libraries.io and a lot of other sites have a per project, like here's a snapshot, and then there's like, I think there's, for some of them, there are details beyond that. I don't. I'd love it if somebody else just told me what to make it look like.
You know what? For an MVP, I think the real goal is something. You've got something. I think we're just trying to put something together we can grow.
Yeah.
But each of these each of the projects would have a different page, right?
Yeah. So right now, each of these go directly to Grafana with that.
Okay. Click on it and let me. I can't. Okay, so localhost. Well, yeah, obviously the prefix, which is Grafana, and then
this is the dashboard.
Okay, so there's a fixed part, a question, and a whole lot of goodies.
Yep, and that is the package URL that I clicked on. So URLs aside, I clicked on Security Fixer Bot, and now Security Fixer Bot is selected here, and this is the data that I have that I would have on Security Fixer Bot.
Okay, I have a very specific suggestion, but you know what, we can. I already snuck in as a sub agenda item a little later when we talk about scaling out.
Yeah.
Do you want to just talk about that now, or
let's do it?
Okay, so a little later on, you said running on a single server is okay, but the individual components must be able to scale out. I have a recommendation on the scaling. Basically, make each of your different projects a different URL so that you can identify them as for this project, here's the URL. And then we can probably use the Linux Foundation's Fastly account. Now, I don't know if you've ever worked with a CDN, but CDNs are miraculous for turning simple servers into scale out in a beastly way. They also make it really fast for users.
So the okay, what do you mean by component? Do you mean that zlib and leftpad are two different components, or do you mean okay?
Yeah, so basically there's a URL for a particular zip or unzip. There's a particular URL for, something else.
So the problem with that is Grafana. I don't know how well Grafana plays with under a CDN, because if you, and I don't know this from, we'll see if this is true or not, kind of changing this, I believe, yeah, this is all dynamic queries going back. So unless the CDN is super smart and can intercept that and return back the right stuff, you're only going to be CDNing static data, which like almost nothing here is static data. We could absolutely CDN this view, and if clicking on here opened up, Linux GSM as a full page here in this view, which was static, then yes, absolutely we could CDN that. But once you go to Grafana, I think you have to because it's between Grafana and the database at that point. Right. And honestly, that's the heaviness of it. What I was thinking on separating the components was we need to be able to put Postgres on a beefier server if we need, and Grafana on a separate server. And I don't know if we need to move to like Kubernetes or something more than Docker Compose for that. I'm not a Docker Compose guy, so it works great for one server. Conceptually, they all think of themselves as separate infrastructure, and Docker does the magic between them.
If there are so Grafana, like post and get requests, those can be heavily cached, especially if you have them. So there may be like slight improvements that we could make to Grafana to improve its cacheability behind a CDN.
Okay.
Especially because what it does is like CDNs usually have pretty well defined, like, for these sets of headers, these are considered the cache key, and like, if you return the right headers, then it can say, oh, this thing can get cached as a response, and so it doesn't actually need to re-render it. So you might want to explore that a little bit more than just saying just because it's dynamic. Actually, even though it's dynamic, it can still probably be CDN protect. I mean,
I'll give a for instance for the CI best practices badge, where the little images are cached with the CDN. Most of the JSON files are cached. The actual user interaction is not, because what you see varies depending on whether or not you're logged in and as who.
Right.
So those are not handled by the CDN, but because the badges are the ones that get hit the most, just caching some things has a spectacular improvement, even if you don't cache everything.
I'm laughing because we run the Gradle plugin portal, and it's one server running on a Heroku, and it serves like 2 petabytes worth of data every month. So just from one Heroku server, right? Like.
Yep, the CI best practices badge is one Heroku server running on Ruby on Rails, which is not a fast language, but it doesn't matter because the user experience is fast, and that's what matters.
Yep. Cool. Okay, so I will add. Don't forget about caching and CDNs to this.
Yep. And while you don't have to do all of the, I don't think you need Fastly implementation for the first.
Yeah.
I think what you need to do is as soon as you can start thinking about what can I rig to be cacheable. Yeah. Because when you send it out, you can say, hey, you can cache it for this long, or cache it until I tell you to redo it.
Yep. And realistically, everything's flowing through Nginx anyway, so I can attach Redis to that and cache anything that's a GET request, and just do like super simple to get maybe that's 80% of it. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to think it through.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yep.
Okay. Going back. Sorry to sideways, but I think
That's all good.
we want to make it so that it will become able to grow, even if the current version doesn't need to be.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, so we've got the landing page with basic info. We need and for this, adding a new project. That's just there's a list of projects, and the refresh will just be look at all of the oldest projects and refresh those, and just kind of churn that way. We should periodically refresh everything. I'm thinking weekly, but so some sort of, or we could just finish and then restart, and that way that would probably be more.
And it'll be shown when the data was captured, right?
Yeah. So right now this is last updated. So what I would imagine is that if you kind of sort by last updated, the first N will be updated last or first, or you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, data sources. So this is really the guts of it. So right now the badge and the JSON and security reviews, I have code for all that. I have releases for GitHub. Adding npm would be not a problem, and that would make it look similar to this. This graph here.
I don't understand. You say scorecard JSON, and right below you say security scorecard. Are those the same thing?
If I could chime in, Amir here. I actually put that in the suggestion. It was a thought because we're looking at the criticality scores and the security scorecard. I'm not sure if that's the same as the scorecard JSON, but
no, it's not. But I meant the I meant the security scorecard, not the there's a scorecard and there's a criticality score.
Yes, yeah. The scorecard it's like a pass-fail check that checks for a bunch of kind of main security practices, and
yeah, I know. The problem is it's listed twice.
Oh, okay.
Why aren't these the same thing?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, it's the same URL. So
yeah.
Security scorecard.
Is a different one.
Yeah, via JSON. Yeah, let's list it only once.
Okay. Sorry
that was
for the confusion there.
That was my confusion. Right. Criticality scorecard is criticality score is different.
Yes. So what I grabbed from the score. So Google or the scorecard project publishes a flat JSON file with like 5,000 or whatever projects kind of continuously updated. So the main import is that giant file, which is where you get all these, and you wind up getting does Linux GSM have signed releases? The answer is false, and these are the details, because no release is found. So this is the data upon which the metric dashboard is based.
Can I suggest that we pull in the criticality score after we get the MVP? I mean, I'm not opposed to it in general. It's just we've got to do things one at a time. And right now, I think the goal is to have something running, and I think that can wait a little bit. Thoughts?
Let's see. Is there a public data? Here we go. We're also generating the results.
Okay, so it's not too hard for you. I know it's basic
Nah,
review
this is-
primarily, so yeah.
No, anything where I can get lots of data in one shot makes me happy. It's when I have to do it all myself that makes me sad.
Got it. And I presume it's probably in JSON or some easily read format.
Yeah, it looks like CSV.
Okay, I bet you know how to read CSV files.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, so that sounds like a could go into the.
Yep. Commit to it, and we're done.
Okay.
Cool.
The goal here is, you know what I would put right at the beginning is this is a minimum viable product. You know, much work to be done, or yeah, and I would add that to our There you go. This is a early, yeah. Very early release. Oh, you know what? Extra points if you can find one of those animated under construction GIFs.
Oh, I'm sure you could. The folks that like revived GeoCities. I'm sure there's like a trillion of them on there.
Oh yeah. I mean I haven't seen one of those in decades. We need to fix that.
Oh, I will find one for you.
but whether or not we have an animated GIF, I think that's adding a disclaimer that this is not the final version. This is a very early version. We're just trying to get something up.
Right. Okay. And then
so badge, scorecard, reviews, criticality score. Hooray. Yeah.
And it's basically the metrics that we're showing is basically the echoing of that. Now there's some data that's in like the badge thing, the badge program that we're not showing. We could, so if there are additional things that we should include,
here's a weird idea and something you could do quite quickly. I think if they're hosted on GitHub or GitLab or if you want to even go further, one or two others, I bet you could add a link to their metric set. And that way there'd be, hey, come here, you will quickly be able to go to the other places.
Yes, totally. In fact, that would go. Yeah. Yes.
You can put that as an MVP data source as a link to. Why don't I just, I'll pitch this. Link to repos statistics. And here I'm thinking about the GitHub, GitLab stat page for that project.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then hey, you can go here, and then you can, I think what we're trying to get people to do, and please help me if this is not your understanding, is if somebody wants to know, hey, I'm thinking about adding this package, should I worry? Then I want them to be able to quickly come to a spot and click out to other things and get a lot of information in a hurry to help them make that decision.
Yep. More information is better.
Well, up to a limit. Certainly better than no information.
We have links, so follow the link if you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Links are easy.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. Yeah. So the metrics we'll show will be that, and we'll just iterate on specifically, what to show and how to show it, and when there's two different metrics that are both similar, do we show them both? Do we just show one? What do we do? I don't think we need to. We don't need to finalize that for MVP.
Yeah, I think we do need to sometime talk about what those metrics should be. I don't know if now is a good time. It wouldn't be a bad idea to talk about as you're implementing if there's some that are just as easy to measure as others. But okay.
I mean, I guess what would be helpful is
You know what? Can we talk about the metrics that you're showing and just kind of talk about, are there any that people have heartburn or things
Yeah.
that you really are missing?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have concerns about the health ones in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the number of contributors 1 year and so on are great. I am dubious about the percentage of issues open, or the average issue duration. I'm also a month since last release. Okay, months per last release. Is that what that means?
No, the number of months between the last release and now. Was the last release 14 years ago, or did they just like release one 3 weeks ago?
Okay, that division sign. Okay, so it's a header problem. That
Yeah.
division says how many months per last release.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
little
once
I
they
give a nice description for some of them.
Yeah, but it would be helpful if the titles were clear too. So
Yeah.
True.
if we can just say months since last release. There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Now see, I think that's useful data. Average months per release. Okay, I can see that.
The average issue duration, that like I feel like is going to be heavily dictated between whether or not they have Stalebot installed in their repository or not, right? Like,
Good point.
Well, it's also a policy issue. I'll say for the CI practices, we have issues open for years because they're low priority, but we might do them. Until we have confirmed we won't do them, we won't close them. So if your project's policy is that, percentage of issues open means exactly 0.
You know, so maybe what we should do is just delegate that if somebody else comes up with a, because you could probably say, okay, if the issue is open for more than 6 months, it's a long-term thing. Or if it's tagged in a certain way, it's not the same as like, hey, I found a bug. Are you going to fix this? And the project either ignores it or does something with it.
Right. I think that's the really key you're trying to get to. Yeah, I think the problem is what you want is, how long does it take to fix a bug? But what you're measuring is issues, which, as we know, are not identical.
Yep. Okay. So we're going to average.
Unless there's a way to distinguish. Unfortunately, I don't know of any widely used convention for distinguishing issues and bugs on, say, GitHub issues. I mean, you can add a bug tag. Yeah, you can label it, but I don't know how widely those tags are used. I know you can use tags.
Yeah.
The problem is, in an automatic way, can we figure out which are which?
So I would say for anything that I mean, if we have this many questions about any of these, we should definitely not include it because it will only create more questions. I'd rather the dashboard go out and people are like, oh, that's super clear.
So I would say for the moment, I wouldn't bother with those two. I think they will raise more questions than they answer. The other ones make sense to me. Number of months since last release, assuming it's something that's released. There's a fun thing, but I think that's for most projects that's not a question.
Mm-hmm.
I got a quick thing that I was a little curious about. If you guys don't mind, for the security reviews, what is the expectation to have a set of links towards? Because right now it just kind of shows a review, whatever review, it just some random. I think it's just the first one or the last one. I can't remember what it was. And it's nice to kind of just have information in your face, I think. But I don't really know. I was just kind of wanting to throw that out there.
I don't love it being here. So
I don't know how valuable it is. Yeah.
Well, wait. Don't do it. Don't do it. I think it's really valuable. I think the problem in this case is when there's nothing, it should say something simple like no reviews found.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
So
Another,
you didn't find anything, just tell them that hey, I didn't screw up here.
Yeah, but so when it does find a review, or say there's 10 reviews in the repo for that particular package URL, it just right now it just shows a review. That's the logic. It'll just show the description, all that stuff. And
we can fix that, right?
Yeah.
it could be like an inappropriate, like a bad review. Like there's no like kind of logic. Maybe there could be like options, like links or something, but then it's like not as instantly readable. I don't know. It's just.
Well, why don't we I would just give a list. Here are the 7 reviews we found. It's like a search engine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, select just 2. I mean, I understand somebody's probably not going to read 20 reviews, but I might read 5.
Hold on. I think it's going to work.
You have clearly learned some Grafana.
No, this is Postgres.
Yeah, I see the sequel, but you therefore know how this is going to end up.
Nope, apparently not.
Yeah. But you bring up a good point. I'd say other metrics that we could potentially track are, if they're all time-stamped, the date since the last review, if it's something that was reviewed 10 years ago or something that was reviewed recently, I think would help. And that's the only one I got for the time being.
Yeah, but I would say show a couple reviews, show nothing, show that, hey, we couldn't find anything. And it's okay if there are multiple reviews. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to fix that in this meeting. Just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and once we're kind of satisfied with this thing, I would be delighted to modify the CI best practices badge to add links to this, probably to the GitHub or GitLab stats page, if that applies. But just, making it so that by showing up in one place, it's very easy to click and get to another place. And if we cross-link all these different things, the fact that they're different systems is not a problem, because they're still, from the point of view of the end user, given one page, you can easily reach another.
Yep. Cool. I think that's good. Okay. Moving on for a moment. API. What I propose a super simple API. You get back all of the data for a particular project. So it would be something analogous to this.
So how'd you get that? Just the URL we saw before and added .json somewhere, or
like that? Yeah.
Into the path, or.
Yep. In fact, maybe as we're doing this, this is like, show it, and then or show.json or something like that.
Yeah.
Although we may want to. Now, you know what? I don't like that, because if we want multiple, what we really want is metrics.OpenSSF API, version 1, metrics URL equals blah, something like that. So I think it should be a different URL, because you want to be able to have different whatever routes, I guess.
Resources.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it as a REST kind of interface.
Yeah. And if it makes more sense, since this should be static data, have this be, well, the CDN should be able to handle this as a cacheable thing.
It can, although if you don't include the cacheable thing in a query, your life is simpler. So, for example, the query can just do a redirect to the actual data, and then you cache the actual data.
Oh, that's true too. Yep.
We don't need to design it right now, but I think the goal there is maybe due to redirect. So I think the goal here though is a way to quickly and easily specify URI that turns around and gets you the data in either JSON or pretty format.
Yep, that works. Cool. Okay, so we talked about performance and stuff like that. Multiple dashboard. That's just Grafana. Everything in GitHub. We can export the dashboard definition, which should be. I need to double check it, but it should be transferable between Grafana instances. Don't forget about caching and new dev. Yeah, and that's all. Cool. Anything else on metrics? I want to make sure we didn't forget anything from last time and just leave a little bit of time for open discussion. Okay. So from last time, I think we got through most of this stuff. Threat paper. Yeah, so Mary, you were going to start looking at this. I did open up an issue on over here, just the guy who Daniel, the Curl Daniel. I thought wrote an interesting article here on backdooring curl. Just kind of a nice threat model that it would be good to make sure that we're covering. I think we do, but that we're covering all those kind of different scenarios. But but more generally, just if other people have thoughts on threats that we should take into account, or news or whatever, just maybe just post them as a comment to the issue, and we'll keep track of them in one place.
Yeah, and a quick question is, what is the best way to access old meetings, just for reference?
Do you mean so the notes are all in here. The recordings of them, I have most of them. I've been posting them to a YouTube channel. I need to get them into the OpenSSF YouTube channel. I will take a note. I will add that to my thing.
Oh, sorry to make more work for you.
No, it's all good. How to post to. I can send you a link to the one where they are now.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. I also feel like this probably would be a good opportunity to I don't know what a better way of managing this is. It seems like GitHub doesn't seem to be like the best vehicle for managing changes to documents. I mean, it feels like it should just work. If it's not, we can find something better. But versioning like docs, and it would be nice to be able to export this to a really clean, nice looking PDF. And if we want to publish it, we can do that and things like that. But
well, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But I mean, and also what kind of document it is. If it's a relatively straightforward document, Pandoc does a great job of turning Markdown into pretty PDFs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe that's it. And just a little bit of extra markup to do sections and chapters and.
Well, you don't need to do it. I mean, Markdown, one hash is heading 1, 2 hashes heading 2, and all you need is to tell Pandoc make it a little pretty, but you're not actually changing. Well, you might change the a little bit in the Markdown, but not very much.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
that, that would be if you wanted to eventually generate a pretty looking doc. That's one way to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What else? So we have about 9 minutes left. What else did anybody want to talk about? I'm particularly interested in hearing from Alejandro and Ray. Thoughts, or anybody else really?
I'm
No,
actually
no thoughts here, but thanks for letting me listen in.
Yeah, from this side, the same. I would like to think how you guys think, or how you guys are really thinking about this to then jump in and try to make some additions. But it's been great, this meeting. I think I'm starting to understand more deeply what are you trying to achieve. So I hope that the next meetings I could be able to help in like introducing new insights, or try to help you elaborate the insights that you already have. So.
Perfect.
For now, I prefer to understand where I'm sitting in, and then try to really help you guys.
Since this is, since you're new, I think the general approach for this working group has been, there's already been a lot of work on attempting to identify some metrics. There is no magic metric that resolves everything. So we're much more focused right now on an MVP of, here's some metrics that a number of people think would be helpful. Let's create a system so you can see those metrics. And then I'm hoping that we're going to go back and think more deeply about trying to identify better metrics to help people make decisions. But it's hard, and there is no magic metric. People have been working on directly measuring security for decades and have so far failed miserably. So since that's not happening, what indirect measures can we provide that give some insight?
And I am sorry. What do you think that are the main stakeholders of those metrics? Because depending what public we are trying to get to, probably I'm going to be able to think about different type of metrics. Which is the public that you think that we are aiming to in the first place?
I can tell you for me, which is not necessarily everybody else, which is I'm viewing this primarily for, I'm a software developer or an organization that is about to use some open source software component. And I want to answer the question, how risky is this? Expecting things have zero risk is ridiculous, but expecting, but some projects are a whole lot riskier than others. And so I want to get some metrics to give me some sense of the risk I'm taking on. And for example, if it's high risk, maybe I'll avoid it. Maybe I will help the project to lower my risk. Maybe I will, do something else. Maybe I'll sandbox it, or use it in a different way, or do some more analysis of it. So basically provide insight to potential users of a program to help them decide if they should be using that program.
I think the one thing I'd add to that is you want to use that, but as a let's say as a security team, you're probably using like 10,000 projects. What are the 10 that you should worry about the most? So kind of doing that aggregation and sorting, which is a perfect segue to something that I meant to talk about. Final grade. So I know this one is always touchy. So
I think we should do that, but not yet.
Okay.
You know what you know what you could do as a cheeky? You could put a box in the interface that says final grade, and just underneath it say TBD, to tell people that we intend to do that. We're not there yet.
Yep. Yeah. But as it probably would be. Since we have like 4.5 minutes, I think it might be useful to start thinking about what a final grade could be based off of. And I think just naively, some sort of a combination of, so some weighted score of the other things, and, then you bucket it, and there you are, you're an A-.
That's right.
But I think as long as we're transparent about what that algorithm is, then in some ways we can lessen the angry mobs of, why did I get a B and this other one got an A, or why did I get an F? I'm not sure that there's, so. There.
The answer is yes, but they always have issues.
Yeah.
I guess Open Hub is an example of this kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else? Cool.
No, I just let in the chat one way that I think it has been useful for in a way to understand how to choose a library, what topics we can use, like to start thinking about this final grade. What topics can we start seeing about specific libraries? It's not like of a huge one. It's like a deep dive metric of deep dive view of how to, what topics do you need to start thinking about when you choose libraries, for example. I think that this was a good idea that they was like, I think SNCC was trying to achieve. I think that maybe we can like discuss around this kind of thing, because I use it in the company, and it's quite clear for developers that are the main users about this to try to understand. I think that we can do a better work, but we can like wrap things up like this. I don't know what are your thoughts about this?
I mean, I like that. I mean, I think SNCC does a good job with these types of things. I think we should look at it and learn from it, and have our spin on it. I'm trying to think if there's anything here that, like, I would love to see, like, how they're calculating some of these things, but obviously some of it's secret. So it's their special sauce, so we're not just gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that right now is not the right time, because I think that we're probably going to be adding some more metrics before we want to even calculate a final grade.
Yeah.
So for example, not, I don't know if you want to put this, wait until we have some more metrics we've discussed. And I'll tell you what, let me let me add to the not MVP, whoops, not MVP data to consider. So things like, for example, I'd love to see lib years. I would love to see, is it reproducible?
I've never heard of lib years.
Oh my goodness!
I feel like I should know this.
Yes, I think we have actually, but you may not remember this. Yeah, we talked about. I'm pretty sure we talked about this, but it's been a while. So basically, if you have a dependency on a component, okay, and it's let's say you have a dependency on a component, it's version 1.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Version 2 came out. Version 3 came out. Version 3 came out, and in fact, the version you've got is 2 years older than the current version. Okay.
Nice.
That particular dependency is therefore has 2 years of lib years. In other words, your library is 2 years behind the current version.
Okay, so aggregate of those for the entire transitive graph.
Exact. Well, yes, it can. Yes, exactly. So usually it's transitive, but transitive, and then transitive, and then you can both sum and average. Nice. I personally think that average is more useful.
Yeah.
Because if you
if you have a big graph, your number is going to be big. Yeah.
Your number is good. That's right. If you depend on 1,000 components, it will be large no matter what you do.
Yep.
But if its average is small, that's not so bad. Average is average especially. So I think that is a wonderfully simple. Yeah, it's one of those Well, there's actually a website that pitches this thing, and I'd never heard of it like 2 years ago, and I read it. This is a remarkably simple measure.
Yeah.
Why didn't we talk about this before? So
Yep.
I think that's, is it reducible? I think is another one. We should be able to run a site and say, can I recreate that? Now it may be fine anyway, but that would be a risk.
Yeah.
Because wait a minute, I got this thing and I don't know if the code TBV project.
Trust but verify. I don't know how like hard it tries, but it does attempt to build and then does a compare thing, but only for NPM.
Gotcha. All right.
Good. We are over time. I'm sure everybody has other stuff to do too.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you all very much. I'll see you guys again in about 2 weeks.
Bye.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.